traders, welcome to Market Snapshot. I hope everyone is geared up for what we are about to discuss. Remember, in times of volatility, we'll always have opportunities, but then you need to have risk management, right? Especially now with the uncertainties coming in, risk management should be one of your edges. Now, every time before you start trading, it's always ideal before you look at your charts that you have a look at the economic calendar because you want to see what could impact your positions when you're in a trade, right? Because we've seen situations where like you're in a good trade, maybe $50 in profit. Next time you're looking at your trades, you're minus, or even a higher profit, let's say $200, and you can't explain how you got that. So clearly that was a fluke. It was outside your plan, and you'll never have those moments. So it's really ideal that every time you enter the markets, you need to look at the economic calendar. So let's have a look at our calendar. What are we expecting today? So it's on a Wednesday. The most important news will be we've seen GBP, new CPI come out lower. CPI basically is the measures the inflation. We can see, and we'll definitely have a look at how has GBP USD reacted to this, or any GBP pair, right? Then later we'll have the retail sales, right? And here we really need to look at what are the impacts of some of these uh, news. So basically, this is all about consumer spending, right? And we've seen, based on the tariffs, that there's that expectation that consumer spending will go down due to increased inflation. You see, at the end of the day, when tariffs come in, that's an added cost, right? So you are buying something at $10,000. If there's a tariff of 25%, then it will be 25% higher, right? 125, right? So that tells you that opportunities are there. But then question is, the US citizens, are they ready to spend more for something they were spending less for, last year or even January? So we get to see this data coming out. The expectation, the previous number was 0.3%, right? And traders are expecting that it will be 0.4%. If this number comes out lower, let's say 0.2%, 0.1%, then that will be a weak data and will signal a slowing growth. It will impact that, guys are not, really buying as expected, right? So a strong number, maybe 0.6, 0.5 will be a strong print, which could highlight resilience that guys are really getting, the tariffs notwithstanding, things are playing out, right? So Trump's tariffs are expected to raise prices. That's a definite, right? Which will now affect the consumer spending. So you really need to understand that there are things that will go up. Yeah. The question is, will the US citizenry take that up, right? So that is what we are really looking forward to at around 3:30. We expect some volatility. So if, of course, the number comes out higher than this, we should see a strong dollar, right? If the number comes up maybe 0.5, 0.6, the dollar will strengthen. However, any number lower than this, then we expect, of course, the dollar to weaken. That is what will be playing out at around 3:30. Later, 1 hour, 15 minutes, we'll be looking at the Canadian dollar. There'll be the interest rate decision. The expectation is that it will be maintained at 2.75%, right? Now, question is, we've seen 25% tariff on Canadian products, which was put on hold based on the outlook from Trump, right? So question is, what's the projection moving forward? Now, the BOC, the Bank of Canada, will need to come up with a decision based on this one because they're looking at the impact of the tariffs. Remember, at the end of the day, yesterday's numbers, there's the inflation number that came out yesterday on Canada, right? We can see the inflation has gone down. So the expectation is that rate cuts will come in, right? That's the expectation, right? So question is, will inflation pick up when the tariffs get into play, because at the end of the day, prices of goods and services are going up due to the tariffs. So the Bank of Canada has a decision to make, and this is what we'll be looking at later when we look at the monetary policy report, right? Because they will give us the growth outlook, right? We want to see the growth outlook. What's this BOC saying with regards to GDP? Right, in light of the trade uncertainties and of course the slowing consumer spending. Remember, at the end of the day, if prices are going up, consumers will spend less, right? So that is one of them. The growth outlook is what we'll expect to see in this monetary policy report. The other thing we'll be looking at is the inflation forecast. Yeah, so there's the expectation that inflation will be adjusted upwards, of course, due to tariffs, right? Prices of goods will keep going up, will go up, right? So the BOC may stress that the core inflation remains manageable, could be manageable, but our work is to maybe wait for that projection. The policy path, we want to see moving forward, what have they projected? How many rate cuts, right? So will it be one, two, It all depends, of course, on the economic data that comes in Canada and also the US trade policy announcements like the tariffs moving forward. Then, of course, there's something on trade risk. The mention of 25% tariff on Canadian goods is a risk which exposes a lot of Canadian goods to higher prices, right? Of course, it raises costs, and that means slowing growth, because there are some companies will be like, instead of doing this, let's close shop, right? It doesn't make sense in terms of my business model, so that will lead to some slowing growth. Then, of course, we'll want to see the tone, the rate statement, right? The BOC press conference is where we'll want to see what will be Governor Tiff, his tone, right? We want to see his tone. If he's dovish, then of course we expect rate cuts, right? Moving forward. And if he's hawkish, then of course we could see a strong Canadian dollar. So, of course, McLean will be addressing the tariff impacts. How have they impacted the economy? The inflation expectations, what are they expecting in light of the tariffs? And also the labor market weaknesses. We've seen unemployment going up in Canada, right? And of course, there'll be questions on US-Canada relations that, guys will be asking. And will there be potential exemptions from tariffs, right? And then, of course, how will the market react? It all depends. Any signal of deeper cuts or pause could trigger Canadian dollar movement. So expect some of these impacts. So definitely, when the dovish, when Macklem will be dovish, we expect the card will weaken, right? So we could see card hit 1.38. That's a possibility today. However, if he's hawkish, we could see. If it's dovish, we expect the Canadian dollar to weaken. So USD card will definitely go into 140, 141. However, if he's outcome, if he's hawkish, right, where like he's looking at increased inflation and possibly an increase in interest rates, then the Canadian dollar will strengthen, pulling the USD card down to 1.38, right? So that is something we're looking forward to. We expect volatility at both 445 and 530. Be on the lookout. So I think that's what we are our main focus today as traders. And of course, there was Fed Chair Powell speaking. We expect also to hear the outlook of Powell with regards to the markets. He will be speaking at the Economic Club of Chicago, and here he's been having a wait and see attitude. So we want to see whether that cautious stance will also be maintained, because at the end of the day, you see, the work of the Fed is to make sure that U.S. growth, right, and also the labor market strength, right. We saw 4.2% unemployment and also 228,000 jobs that were added in March, right. So the Fed still projects 2 rate cuts in 2025. But then there's that whole inflation to rise to 2.7%. We've seen what China has done, right? And most of the products in the US come from China. We've all seen those videos on TikTok, how businessmen in China and business they're exposing how things are produced in China and how they get to be priced in Western nations, right? So we need to look at what are the expectations. We need to look at the tone of Powell, right? For him, the Fed has been data dependent. They're looking at data as they approach whatever decisions they make. So of course, they'll avoid commitments to on rate cuts, right? They will not give a definite answer, right? However, they may acknowledge tariff impacts, which is the higher prices, which of course slower growth. Maybe the labor market may have some resilience. We'll just wait to see, but those are some of the expectations. So his key focus, while speaking at the Economic Club of Chicago, will be more on inflation. Where do they expect to see inflation, tariffs, and also the 2025 rate path? Like, how many cuts do they expect, right? A hawkish tilt, this is where like they look at delaying cuts will support the dollar, right? If he comes out with that hint where like he's still hawkish, like that means a possible pause on the delay on the cuts will lead to a strong dollar, while a dovish hint, the earlier cuts, right, the two cuts, would weaken the US dollar. So there'll be a lot of market sensitivity, there'll be a lot of volatility, and so be on the lookout for that one. So what are we expecting in terms of, remember, by the currency we need to be on the lookout today is more of USD card because of the impact, the BOC statement, and also the Fed Powell's stance. So let's see how those things play out, and let's look at our charts. If you have any questions, please let me know. But gear up for the volatility that will be coming in. So we go to our MT5, look for possible opportunities on the different currencies. This is purely educational analysis. My BTC, I'm still bearish by the way. I still maintain my bearish stance. So let's go to USD card. What are we looking at? There are some areas that are mapped out. This is for those who've been attending our mentorship class. We were looking at some of these price zones, specifically this order block over here, right? This bullish order block, which is the last bearish candle before a major move up. So I'll still expect the 3800 region I was talking about, right? This could be a possibility, especially if Canadian dollar comes out strong, right? If there's some bit of hawkish stance from McLem, then we should expect this to dip to that 800. However, if he's dovish, then we expect the USD card to hit maybe 40, 41 regions. So those are the possibilities that could play out as we move into this high impact news. Now, one is that area. Let me map out possible areas where we could see the market go to. There's a possibility of USD card hitting that area. Alternatively, I would want to see how it reacts to yesterday's low. Yeah, maybe that move would give me a really good outlook on it. Alternatively, I could also look at this order block here as a possible area where the market could test 38.99 before pushing up. Right. So remember, we also the first news will be what? Will be the retail sales at 3:30. We could see some volatility. However, more impact will be felt later during BOC. So let's see how those trades play out based on that analysis. Let's go to NZD USD. Yesterday in our mentorship class, we were looking at a possible buy of NZD USD and a sell. And we can see that trade actually came to observed our played out pretty well based on confirmations. You can see tweezers playing out on the 70 region on the RSI, and that drop uh, worked out pretty well. Huh? So let's remove this analysis and analyze NZD USD afresh. Okay, so what are we looking at? I'll go to higher time frames, seek opportunities from there. I'll be looking at higher time frames, try and seek these moves. So this area seems to be holding. Yeah, ideally I would want to see, this was the area we had mapped out yesterday, this order block. Yeah, this is the area we had mapped out that was tested before a drop played out, right? So I would still want to see NZD USD test it out before moving downwards. So I'm looking at a more bullish move. This could test this high before dropping. And I would want it to test the low, yesterday's low. You see this low over here is a possible area where I would want to see NZD USD go to. For around 83 pips. Okay, GBP USD. We were looking for buy opportunities. Buy GBP USD is still buying, as we can see. For those who were in the mentorship class yesterday, we can see our trade is still running. Buy. What was the target? It's yet to get to 3308. That's like 30 pips. So we still maintain this analysis. We want to see GBP USD come to 3308. Huh? And the reason as to why we were looking at 3308, we go to the weekly and see that we were looking at this candle over here. You see this order block over here? This is where we had anticipated GBP USD to get to. So I'm still maintaining that analysis. I would want to see a further bullish move on GBP USD. But once price gets there, I anticipate a bearish push. To what region? Let's analyze. Sorry. Where's GU? To what region? I would want to look at, yeah, 3170. We still maintain the same analysis. 3170. Yeah, from 3308 to 3170. That's what I'll be looking at. A 136 pips drop. Gold, we were looking for buys yesterday. We can see, once again, remember last week I called gold will hit that 400 per ounce. And so we are on how actually I had projected by end of the year. This will hit actually, I think, probably by end of April. End of April, or, May. I don't know. No one knows when it comes to gold. The uncertainty in the market is too much, and investors are rushing into gold. Safe haven pairs, the Swiss franc, the Japanese yen are benefiting from all those uncertainties that we have. So, what are we expecting on gold? I'm still bullish. Nothing changes. But where we are right now, I would want to see some retracement. Now, the thing is, here we don't have data we can go back to. So I'll go with something called quarter points. I don't know whether some of you know of areas called quarter points. 33.25 is an area I would want to see gold test So we are at 33.13, right? So I would want to see gold test 33.25 before coming down. UT 100, interesting. We have a gap, right? The market opened in a gap. This gap needs to be closed, right? So what are we looking at? I need to look at areas of entry. Remember, in trading, you do not buy or sell anywhere. You must identify regions, areas that are buy areas. In my case, there are so many areas that I'm identifying here. However, let me go to higher time frames. Okay, so I'll probably want to see UT 100, NASDAQ rise from that price level. Yeah, I would want it to test this low. And the take profit will be after the close of that gap. So I'm looking at a bullish move on UT 100 to that price level. Yeah, now that will be an interesting play on UT 100. USD CHF, we're still looking for sell opportunities on this one. So there's a price level that we want USD CHF to test, which is last month's low, right? No, this is actually the weekly low, right? This is the lowest price, the monthly low, sorry. The monthly low. This is the lowest price in a month, which could probably be actually last week's low. Yeah. Last week's low is an area I would want to see USD CHF come to. Can we see a gap? Yeah. Look at that. Some volatility in the market, right? So I would want to see USD CHF test this high. Yesterday's high, you know. Yesterday's high is an area I would want to see USD CHF test before dropping. So this will be my analysis. Bullish move. And then maybe we can see some bear stepping in. Audi USD. Audi USD, we were looking for sells and then buys, right? So we maintain the same analysis. Look at that. This was those who attended yesterday's mentorship class. This was the analysis. There was it came to the 50 EMA. Yeah. So we still maintain the analysis buys. Maintain that analysis. The buys to all the way to 64.93 take profit 1 and 64.09 as take profit 2. So that's around, take profit 2 is around what? Is it 50 pips? Almost 50 pips from the current market price. Take profit 1, 63.93, that's like 33 pips from the current market price. So yeah, we still maintain that analysis. Let's see how that plays out. We've just analyzed USD card, a possible drop. Then depending on the news, then you will make that decision on that particular currency pair. That's it. Any question? Let me have a look at your questions. Hey, morning, guys. Hi. Okay. Yeah, so we've seen gold. There's a possibility of it testing a quarter point at 33.25. Yeah, yeah. Now that's an area I'm looking at. Cat JPY, gold. Has gold spiked up? Let me see. While I was doing that analysis, must have spiked up, right? Ah, spiked down. Oh, interesting. Let's go to lower time frames. No, it's still holding. Yeah, so we expect the volatility to continue. There must have been some news. If you want to join the mentorship class, there must have been some news that has played out, right? Uh, if you want to join the mentorship class, send me an email to robert.mbogo@fxpesa.com. Alternatively, uh, below this video, yeah, under more, go to follow this link to learn how to trade on the go. There is every Monday to Thursday the morning class, which is the mentorship class, and every Monday to Thursday FX Pesa evening. This is the evening class, right? The evening class is all about evening class is all about it's a beginner's class. So if you're struggling with what the basic foundations of trading, what is a pip, all those things, a simple strategy, you might join that class later in the evening. Just make sure that you've registered and you'll be good to go. Best time frames to analyze the market. Personally, I go from higher time frames, as you have seen with some of my trades. I go to the monthly, try and seek areas of support and resistance, go down all the way to even H4, H1. Entry is M5, M15. Oh, USD JPY. Let's have a look at USD JPY. Remember, I have said something on safe haven assets, right? Interesting. Look at that. Volatility. That's a weak yen, right? Because it can be the dollar. USD CHF. How has it reacted? It seems like there has been safe havens have been affected, right? Because we can see the weakening of the CHF and the weakening of the Japanese yen, right? If you look at these two charts, they look almost similar, right? USD CHF on M15, USD JPY on M15, right? So the weakening of the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc, right? Which explains why, if you look at gold, there has been that dip. Once again, the weakening of what? Safe haven pairs. It's interesting, right? So I'll still maintain my analysis on gold. I expect gold to hit, I would expect gold to hit 33.25 before coming down. Yeah, UT100 could be posed to hit our target levels. Remember, there's this gap that we could close. Yeah, so let's see how that plays out. Yeah, so there's a weakening of safe haven pairs, the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, and gold, right? However, we maintain the analysis on GBP USD, right? We maintain the analysis on GBP USD. We still wanted to get to 3308. NZD USD, we wanted to get to 59.38 or 59.43. Remember, based on our mentorship class, wait for confirmations. Never trade without confirmations, right? And one of the confirmations, of course, is the RSI 70 region, and then candlestick patterns, right? We need to see bearish engulfing. We need to see an evening star. We need to see a shooting star, we need to see bearish tweezers before taking a trade. No one can anticipate dips. How long is the dip supposed to last and to where? On gold. Anyone who tells you that they can anticipate that would be lying to you. What you can do is map out areas of support, and in this case, support. Where could possible? Where could gold hit? Maybe another block. Maybe let's look at gold. Yeah, you can't really project gold and say, hey, at this area will be the area it will hit. No one can do that. You can just project based on uh, based on areas of support. But then again, uh, there isn't a clear picture as to how that plays out. Yeah, so most of these trades are in line with what we are projecting. USD CHF, GBP USD. Let's see how they play out. USD JPY, what are we looking at? Go to higher time frames. Oh, there was an interesting play here, right? On the moving average. So on the weekly, we can see USD JPY has been selling, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a test of last year's low. You can see there's also a moving average on that low. So nothing stops USD JPY from, if you're looking at a swing trade, USD JPY could be headed to 139.55. So this bullish move is an opportunity to sell, right? Sell at a high price. I've already shared insights on BTC. WTI. Let's look at oil. There's a question I've missed somewhere here from Apollo. What has caused a huge sell on stocks and spike in gold? Interesting. I also don't know what has led to that since I was presenting here. But we've seen it's all about safe havens that have been affected, right? So US oil seems to be pushing up. Let's go to higher time frames. Maybe we could see it test this 50 EMA. Or the monthly high. Sorry, not the monthly high, the weekly high. We could see oil test out those two areas. So that's a possible push on oil. Let's finalize. I've already done NZD USD. Let's do NZD card. Or what have I missed? GBP JPY. Okay, I think I've missed a few trades up here. GJ. Let's start off with GJ. Those who are requesting for mentorship class, I've already shared, right? Look at that on GJ. Once again, tells you that the safe haven Japanese yen was affected, right? You can see that bullish push as we have seen in other currencies. At least the gap has been closed on GJ, right? This market has gone to the gap and closed it, right? So Let's see. Let's go to higher time frames. $191.26 on the daily. That's a possible area. Remember, you can use moving averages as target areas. Yeah, so we could see a bullish push on GJ. Yeah, always use risk management, guys. Volatility, right? Volatility is good, but then if you're caught flat-footed, well, you'll have to pay the price for that. And most of you can agree with me that it's after you've blown your account that you get to see clear setups, until you're like what, really, you know, and yet you don't have money now to fund your trading account. It's quite painful when you blow that account, only for you to see clear setups. They normally present themselves so clearly that you can't dispute it's a buy or a sell, but then you don't have capital. So to avoid that pain, just just use risk management. So we are still looking for buys. Our trades are playing out. Buys on this one also. GBP USD, we're still looking for those buys, and then sells later to 3308. So I think that's it. We've done GJ. What else? Let me see from your comments. CAD JPY. Once again, look at CAD JPY. The yen, right? The yen is the one that has come out weak, which has led to the spiking of all this, which goes back to what I had just said. Safe haven assets have been affected by whatever news has come out. I actually need to check out. Anyone who's tried checking out what has happened, I'll need to see what has played out, because something must have led to that move. Oh, okay. Gold hits an all-time high 33 after US Trump increased tariffs on China to 245%. Oh, there goes. And why is it that the market have reacted negatively? Because we would expect safe haven assets too. The market, I think, has just settled in on these ones. Yeah. Anyway, not so much information coming in. So I'll have a look at that later. So thank you guys. BTC to the moon. Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm still bearish on BTC. But if it goes to the moon, well and good. I'm just disciplined enough to wait for it to come to my area. You know, my area of support is where I'll still maintain that analysis, just like I insisted on this other move down here. While guys were buying, I was looking for sales because we had to close this gap. Now I'm looking forward to this area. But hey, if it plays out, well and good. I just sit on my hands. Huh? As a trader, you'll just learn how to sit on your hands. So today, USD card, we are looking at USD card as a possible play, based on the two impact news, the US retail sales, and also the BOC interest rate decision. So USD card is a pair to watch. It will all be based on what comes out during those two news, right? I've already pointed that out towards the start of this presentation. Otherwise, thank you guys for your time. Cheers. Observe risk management. Volatility is good, but then if you don't have capital to trade, what are you really doing? So, manage, preserve your capital by using the right risk management tools. Use a stop loss. Make sure that you're using the right lot size. Position sizing, very important. So, cheers, guys. Have a fruitful and a peaceful day and remainder of the week.